Hey, congratulations, you have made it to the last lesson. Today we're going to learn how to notate our other piece that we made in SongMaker that has the more difficult rhythms. We have two more note values that we need to learn in today's assignment. We need to learn about the eighth note as well as the eighth rest. So if we divide the measure into 8 equal sections like this, one of these sections is going to be an eighth note. So if we recall, one of these blocks equals half a beat. So therefore, the eighth note equals half a beat. So an eighth note sounds like this. And this is what an eighth rest looks like. An eighth rest gets half of a beat of silence. So an eighth note gets half a beat of sound. An eighth rest gets half a beat of silence. At least for this class, we will only use an eighth rest if we have a rest on the beat followed by a sound on the offbeat. An offbeat would simply be everything off of the beat, and it will look like this on SongMaker. So notice that it occurs on the right side of these little divisions here. If an eighth note falls on an offbeat and nothing follows it on the next beat, go ahead and notate a rest after the eighth note, at least for this class. You can learn how to truly do what we call syncopated rhythms later when you have more experience as a musician. Okay, now we know enough for me to show you how to notate the rhythm in the piece that I wrote for you in lesson 2. First, let's make sure that we have our signs at the beginning that we need. And then start on our bar lines. Here's the first one. And we won't need this staff down here for now. Here's the third one, or second one. And then the third one. And the last one, we are going to end with the finale bar line that has a thicker bar like this, and then the thinner bar right next to it on the left. Okay, now we're ready to notate the rhythm. So the first note is on the first half of the first beat, so this is going to be an eighth note. And then the second note is on the second half of the first beat, so that's going to be an eighth note as well. And there, since it's on the same beat, we're going to beam it together like this. Okay, then our second note, or the third note, is on the second beat and on the second half of the second beat. So we need an eighth rest followed by an eighth note like this. And then on the third beat, again, we've got two notes on beat 3, so there's going to be eighth notes here. Now these three notes line up together on, they lined up together in the SongMaker program. So we're going to use one stem for all three of them like this. And then we're going to beam it together with this next note. Okay, nothing happens on beat 4, so we'll need a quarter rest like that. All right. Now we're ready for the next measure. There's nothing on the first box, so let's put an eighth rest right here. Okay, we have a note on the second box. Okay, since this is the only eighth note in this beat, we're going to use a flag rather than a beam. Okay, 2 C's on beat 2. We'll use our ledger line, of course, and then beam them together as eighth notes. Okay, nothing on the next box. So again, we're going to use an eighth rest, followed by an eighth note with a flag, since it's the only eighth note in this beat. Okay, next one's going to be an eighth rest again, followed by an eighth note with a ledger line. And I'm lining it up the same way it was in Songmaker, according to the grid I have on the graph. Okay, another eighth rest followed by an eighth note with the flag. Okay, now we have 2 beats of rest, don't we? Okay, actually we want on beat 3, it's what we call a strong beat. So we're going to use 2 quarter rests because we want to show the strong beat. If you had put a half rest there, I would not count it wrong, but I'm going to go ahead and notate it correctly with 2 quarter rests. Okay, now we're on the last measure. These are 2 notes in one beat, so we're going to beam them together as eighth notes, like this. Okay, and then we have a rest on beat 2, and then on the second half of beat 2, we've got another note, so we're going to put a flag there. Nothing on beat 3, so a quarter rest. And then beat 4, we have our G up there. Okay, so we don't have much on the treble clef staff. So since it's silent, let's go ahead and put rests here. So here's a couple of measures that are completely empty, so we can put in whole rests there, 4 beats of rests. Okay, what are we going to do for the other measures, though? Here we can do, that's 3 beats of silent until we get to the very end. So we can do a half rest, that's 2 beats there, and then we got 1 more beat, so a quarter rest. And then, okay, actually we should make this into a half rest since nothing else happens in the left, or in the bass clef right there. So let's make that into a half rest rather than a quarter rest. Just like that. Okay, what about this first measure? Okay, the first 2 beats are silent in the treble clef, so we can put a half rest there. Okay, and then the last beat is silent. Okay, right here, the last beat is silent, so we're going to put a quarter rest like that. Go ahead and pause this video and start notating the piece or one of the pieces that you wrote in Songmaker that has the more difficult rhythm. I have a cheat sheet of the rhythmic values in your handout to guide you in this step. So pause this video and resume it after you have finished, because there are a few more things that we need to cover before you are completely finished with your piece.